Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
What should never have been invented? Pop-up ads, even the inventor apologized for it. Subscription to use features of a device you already purchased, like BMW's heated seat subscription. Non-recyclable plastic bags. Asbestos. They put it in absolutely everything for decades only to find out it's deadly. Paper straws. My God, I'll just drink out of the cup directly rather than having them instantly dissolve after 2 sips. Social media like Facebook and Instagram, all others are better I feel. If you could see any of your stats after you die, which ones would you be most excited to see? Potential deaths averted. That'd be interesting. Number of women who would have said yes if I had the guts to ask them out. Exactly how much distance I've covered walking/running throughout my life. As well as the total number of hours spent procrastinating. How many times I've made people laugh. How many people's lives I've made a huge impact in. You always hear stories about people who are having awful days, and then one person's actions give them hope again. I'd like to know how many people I've really helped. Rich people of Reddit who married someone significantly poorer. What surprised you about their previous way of life? I was adopted at age 7. I lived in extreme poverty and then all of a sudden I lived with a doctor who bought gifts for birthdays and Christmas. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know you could go to the store to get food. I just thought you went to the church and had to pray before they give you a bag of food. I'm not rich at all, but my husband came from a very poor Mexican village. He told me he used to shower outside because there was no in-house plumbing and used leaves as toilet paper. I mean, there's poor, and there's my husband's previous life poor. He's been living in the US for 12 years now, but when we first met it was so interesting seeing life through his childlike eyes. Going to the cinema was a huge event for him. Heating food up in a microwave was a totally foreign concept. And staying at fancy hotels when we went on vacation was like whoa. I still see him surprised by things now and then, and it just reminds me how much I take my middle status class for granted. To all people who think America is effed, what one thing would you change to try and fix things? Ranked choice voting. Let people elect who they want to, not the best chance to win against this person I hate. Get rid of the bribery system. Or lobbyists as we call them. Stop letting corporations donate to political campaigns. Actually have Congress vote on items rather than continuously campaign on how they will fight against the other party to save the US. The population needs better education. Universal healthcare, instead of throwing billions and trillions at other countries and pointless wars. What's the craziest butterfly effect that happened to you because of a small decision you made? 4 years ago a kid I barely knew from school invited me to a Six Flags. I was a bit of a loner at the time and I heard rumors about this kid being weird, so I intended to not go. On the day he wanted me to go, I was feeling extra bored and decided on a whim why not. So I went and met this kid and 2 of his friends I've never met at a Six Flags. 4 years later and that kid is my best friend, and I have 3 other very close friends I met through him. Not only that, but I also met my first girlfriend because of the connections some of my new friends had. It transformed my high school years from being alone to having an amazing group of friends I could do almost anything with. I intended to ask my best friend to be my best man one day, and I don't intend on ever getting out of touch with any of them. I'm home from college now, and we are going to have a lot of fun together. Best decision I've ever made. What wedding moment made you think they are not going to last long? When the bride drank vodka out of a pint glass and spent a significant amount of time making out with another guy on the dance floor. When the bride tried to playfully feed the groom some cake, pulling it back once it got close to his mouth. The 3rd time she did this, he slapped it out of her hand and stormed off. In the ensuing awkward silence and wide-eyed staring, we all knew it wouldn't last. Surprisingly, they were together for nearly 2 years before the bride eloped away with her stepbrother. No one saw that coming. What is something you are aware of about your friend that they don't know you know? That he wet the bed until he was 14. His mom and aunt got chatty over tea and started talking about it while I was hanging around waiting for him to get ready. That the reason why my friend's relationship came to a sudden end is because he and his GF were really close in the family tree and not because of other things. My best friend tried to sleep with my dad in high school. He was married to my mom and they had more or less taken her in. We're still good friends, but I've never told her that I know about it and I never plan to.
What's the weirdest Wi-Fi name around you? I nicknamed my grandpa G when I was younger. I think I did this because of something I saw in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. My grandpa liked this nickname and he's always gone by it since. He got Wi-Fi a few years ago and the first time I went over to his house I joined his Wi-Fi network. He named it the G-Spot. In college we had an apartment above an unfinished commercial area in a new building. We named our SSID Starbucks Guest to fuel conspiracies of the first Starbucks within 40 miles.
What's the hardest thing you've ever had to say no to? When you're breaking up with someone and they say, "But don't you love me?" in tears. That blows. Wife left me and took my 4-year-old daughter 2 years ago. Divorce was final a year ago. The hardest no I have to do, sometimes daily, is when my daughter asks if I can stay when I leave her mom's house. Rips my heart out every time. A salesperson who tried to sell Oxford encyclopedias in front of my house. He was nearly on the verge of tears for some reason and he desperately tried to convince me to buy the set. I calmly told him that I have Wikipedia and Google for learning anything I wanted and I don't need them. What's the grossest thing you've ever seen at a stranger's house? Animal hoarder's house. You could smell cat pee from the sidewalk and when she opened the door the smell was like a physical punch in the face. Piles of poop everywhere. I ended anonymously reporting her to animal control. Went to a friend of a friend's house who had a young, friendly, and very excitable pit bull. Sat down on the couch, dog jumps up onto the cushion next to me and unleashes a torrent of piss, soaking the other cushion. Before I can do anything he shoos the dog off the couch, flips the cushion, and hands me a beer like nothing happened. Needless to say I got up, chugged that beer and bounced within about 2 minutes. What's the weirdest thing you've seen your neighbor do? Guy's house was foreclosed on so he locked his dogs in the backyard, set his house on fire, and tried to escape via canoe on the intercoastal. He got about 3 blocks before the Coast Guard picked him up. He got arrested. Dogs are fine. Had a neighbor who always picked up trash on our street. Great, except dude liked to run the hose over them and hang them up to dry. Bottles, paper, clothes, food, cigarettes, you name it. After drying the stuff out, he'd throw the stuff away. My neighbor looked over his fence, looked at me straight in the eyes and said, "The last time I looked at somebody like this, they died a week later." After that he just went back to his business like the conversation never even happened. What's an oddly specific detail you don't want in a partner? Very visible hamstring ligament in the knee fossa and smacking lips after drinking or eating. I want elaborate further. If they call wet wipes moist towelettes, they're getting a 2-line breakup email. If they like mayonnaise. They can like it, sure, but I mean if they really like mayonnaise. To the point to where it's weird. I once had a friend who would drink it out of packets. I have not contacted him in a very long time. If they don't keep their ketchup in the fridge. Police officers of Reddit, who's the smartest criminal you've ever encountered? A French thief who spent 10 years in prison became a comedian when he got out. One of his stories was, he finds a building, goes in, chooses a floor and transforms the exit door into an extra apartment. Puts the apartment number, fake lock, welcome rug, etc. Lists an iPhone for sale. The person comes to buy it, he opens the door in a shower robe and says give me 1 second, I'm just gonna count the money, and poof. He's gone from the exit stairs. A friend of mine robbed a major truck stop and got 400,000. Mostly worthless checks but a load of cash. Lived the high life for a summer and turned himself in. He buried about 50,000 inches cash so when he got out he dug it up. Served his time and still had money. No clue where he is now. Probably in jail. A genie offers you a single wish. It's impossible to get yourself infinite wishes no matter what loopholes you try. What are you wishing for? Immunity to old age and all forms of disease. I can probably handle the rest as long as I've got that. To be the best at anything I want to be good at, and to have the option of adjusting how good I am at any given time. I only need one. To be reborn into a loving, caring family. I want his powers without his responsibilities and without being bound to fulfilling others' wishes. For my consciousness to be uploaded to a customizable VR simulation whenever I fall asleep and when I eventually die. What are your night shift horror stories? Used to work night shift at a 24-hour Walmart. Customers are nuts enough in the daytime, but they become weird after midnight. Once had an elderly guy come in wearing only a jean jacket and fishnet stockings. He came up to my register, leaned in, and asked if we carried anything to get rid of lice. You know those plastic barriers all stores have now to protect cashiers? They need to keep those even after the pandemic ends. I lost count of the times customers got into my personal space to ask about products for fleas, lice, rashes, etc. What is the wackiest thing you've seen in a public bathroom? I walked in and my eyes were immediately blinded by a fully natural man running a stick of deodorant up and down his rear. Gas station bathroom in the middle of nowhere. Not only did this bathroom have a bathtub, but there was a fully dressed and made-up mannequin in the tub. Very jarring. In high school someone put a fish in a toilet like a small bass from a lake. I still have a video of that thing swimming around in the bowl. A guy was proposing to another guy in a stall. He was on his knees. It was very romantic. Bathroom attendant cooking Asian food and watching an Asian soap opera. Also in high school a kid taking a mean crap with both hands planted on the floor.